49ers back on track with a victory over the New England Patriots, 30-13. It was good to see the 49ers looking more like the 49ers again. It must be said as we begin our review that Patriots are a bad football team. They are one of the worst teams in the NFL, and that's exactly what the 49ers need to face. A bad football team after dropping 2 in a row. No one expected the Vikings to be this good. The Vikings, through 4 weeks, remain undefeated with victories over the 49ers, a victory over the Texans, and most recently a victory over the Packers in Green Bay. It does seem like, after watching a good chunk of that game, that Jordan Love was rushed back. Vikings are 4-0. And then the loss in Los Angeles. That was one of the most frustrating losses I can remember of any regular season game. It's up there in regular season losses for the 49ers. So they put that behind them. Though you hope a game like that doesn't hurt you down the road. And get this win 30-13 over the Patriots. Let's start with Brock Purdy. Another very strong game from Purdy. I mean, he was not the problem with the loss in Los Angeles. He was excellent. This one, he was also very good. He had an interception, but it was a late, really meaningless interception. But the critics, the detractors of Brock Purdy simply just aren't watching the games. They're just against him because they're against him. All he does is win. He's at the top of the league with passing yards. He's up there near the top for completion percentage. He's looking very Russell Wilson-ish. And when I say Russell Wilson-ish, I'm talking about the good years in Seattle. He's becoming increasingly difficult to sack. His mobility is not just good, it's above average. You're not talking about a guy who's going to run for 20, 25-yard gain. I mean, he can do it from time to time. He's not as much of a runner as Russell Wilson. But when we're saying Russell Wilson-like, I mean, he's buying time. He's difficult to bring down. He does so many things that are smart on the field, escaping, and then knowing when to run, reaching out with the football while he's going down the sideline. I mean, I saw him pull that off, and I'm just like, that's what Russell Wilson would do. And we forget so quickly how good Russell Wilson was for so long. And it's one of the most just quick, dramatic careers falling apart that I can think of. Russell Wilson, when you were one of the best, and then just a couple years later, you can't even be a starter on a football team. I still don't know exactly what to make of that. But we saw it for so many years, what Russell Wilson was able to do. And Brock Purdy is getting better and better out there on the field. Jordan Mason, another very strong game from him. Jawan Jennings was the best receiver for the 49ers. I mean, there was the big one to Debo, but that's 2 weeks in a row where Jennings has been the best receiver for the 49ers, and he has been, through the first 4 games, the number 1 receiver. Debo and Ayuk are getting the big bucks. Jennings is getting the job done. It was good getting Kittle back. He had the spectacular touchdown. Otherwise, kind of a quiet game, but he helps in so many ways. You're talking about as a receiving tight end, as a blocker. The offense was better. The defense, Fred Warner. What can you say about Fred Warner? He is playing as high of a level as a linebacker can play right now. You really can't play better than Fred Warner in the modern NFL. He's as good as it gets in coverage. The pick six was a spectacular play. I mean, both of his interceptions, it's not just, oh, a ball gets tipped up in the air and he happens to grab it. No offense. You'll watch highlights of other great linebackers in NFL history. I even say that of Ray Lewis. I mean, Ray Lewis had over 30 career interceptions. But a lot of these interceptions, if I'm going to be honest, are balls that are easy to catch. I mean, Fred Warner's interceptions, the degree of difficulty of these two that we've seen so far, there's not very many linebackers in the history of the NFL that could make these plays because they're so athletic and they take such, you want to talk about ball skills. Yeah, ball skills. And you could have the conversation now, or at least begin to have the conversation, well, who was better? Was or is better? Was it, or just saying Patrick Willis versus Fred Warner, the better player? It's difficult to compare the two because their styles are different. Willis played a lot in the 3-4 defense. Warner's playing a 4-3 defense. I mean, the game has just changed too in a relatively short time. Warner is a player who drops back into coverage a lot and very deep into coverage. Willis also would drop back into coverage, but not as far as Warner. Willis was more of a big hitter and a downhill player, but don't get me wrong, he was good at everything, including coverage. Warner is more of a smooth player, but at the same time, they're both sideline to sideline linebackers, middle linebackers, do-it-all linebackers. Linebackers have the ability to rush the passer, but they were and are not, in Warner's case, called upon to do it very often, and both excellent at forcing fumbles. Well, time will tell. Willis was a star the first moment he stepped on the field. Warner gradually got to this level. It's taken time, and is he actually getting better now too? It seems like it. He's even better than he was last year. And last year was a heck of an all-pro season when you're considering just two statistics. Let's just take the two statistics, the career high in interceptions and forced fumbles. The only down part was he only played half a game and is questionable coming into the Week 5 game against the Cardinals. Nick Bosa had a better game. This goes for the whole defense, especially late in the game. Nick Bosa had the sack, forced fumble, and fumble recovery all in the same play. That was his best play of the season. It seems like the best play Nick Bosa has made in a while. I mean, it just goes for the whole defensive line. They really didn't miss Javon Hargrave. But they played, for being honest again, a very poor, injured offensive line. But you see some depth there. You see some talent on the defense. And it was overall a positive win. I will say the offense got off to a bit of a slow start, though. They went down. They had to settle for 2 field goals. It was 6-0. And the defense scored a touchdown before the offense did. Thanks to Fred Warner's pick 6. It was 7 points for the defense, 6 for the offense. And special teams, I have to bring up special teams, was a problem again. The fumble in the second half is the only reason why the Patriots got a touchdown on that kickoff. The 49ers should have put 40 points. And the Patriots should have been at 6. I mean, it should have been like a 40-6, 37, 38-6 game. But 49ers are not in a position to be picky right now. You just win. You just got to keep winning these games, piling up wins. But the special teams, the return game continues to be a concern. It was nice to see a little more aggressive play calling on defense now that you have some injuries. With blitzing, then a little concerned about, as great as Mason has been, his workload. And it amazes me that how things have changed so fast with Jordan Mason and Kyle Shanahan's trust in Jordan Mason. It was last season, it was hard to get him on the field, and a lot of us were just saying, we want Mason. As great as McCaffrey is, we want Mason in there too. And you don't need to have McCaffrey, getting all these carries in the fourth quarter when you have a stud running back like Mason, who every time he's on the field, he's averaging 5 yards a carry. And he's continued to do that as a starter, but they're going to wear him out. But he went from Shanahan doesn't trust Mason at all to, he's the only one he trusts with the ball now. Now that McCaffrey's not out there and Elijah Mitchell's out for the season, well, they're probably both out for the season. But he's forced to trust Mason, and he's not really given the ball to anyone else except Grendo a couple times a game. Well, you wonder what kind of trades they may make. They need another running back. They need more on defense. It seems like, they almost have too much at receiver now. This is a quick little preview for the Cardinals game coming up Sunday, but it's very simple. You got to stop James Conner. If you can stop James Conner, then I feel good about this. It was more so than even this Patriots game. I mean, you have to be worried about Kyler Murray running, even though he's not running as much this year as he has in the past. But he's given the 49ers problems. And James Conner has given the 49ers problems in the past. So they have got to say, actually, priority number one is stopping the run. And that goes for Conner first, and then Kyler Murray second. I mean, this defense can be had. Just stop settling for so many field goals. Punch it in. Let the Cardinals know who they are, that they're no better than the average football team early in this one. Don't let them hang around. Don't let them be balanced on offense. Make them one-dimensional. And just dominate them on offense, as there's no reason why the 49ers can't remain balanced. And it would be nice to see a big game from Ayuk, wouldn't it? And, I trust Purdy. And this is the game the 49ers need to win. It's a game they should win. It's a game they should win by 2 scores. 2 scores. Washington was able to thoroughly dominate them, even with the injuries the 49ers have. They're a much better football team, but don't take them lightly. And score first, score early, set the tone, and get the win.